Hi, this is Andre, and this is just a show. This is a pre-show for a show I'm going to be recording, and this is really weird right now because I'm looking directly up at the camera, um, and I can see peripherally, whatever that word is, the screen below me. But I have to focus on the camera, and I made the mistake of putting on the light from the camera, and actually there's a light right next to it, so this is not good on my eyes, I don't think. I'm just going to look down now and watch the screen. And really, if I'm talking to somebody, this is what they're going to see. So I think we should just go with this. I think that's fair. It's a fair approach. Um, it is about an hour before I hop on a Zoom call with Brannon Beliso. Uh, he is a martial arts, uh, I would say master, I guess, but I don't know if that's I don't know if that's something that he would necessarily go with. I think a lot of people who are in martial arts would go ahead and hold that revere for someone else. But he's at least very good at martial arts, and he's definitely great at managing a martial arts studio and understands the basics, the foundations that come with it, and then understands the nuances that need to be applied based on your situation. So he's going to be very interesting to talk to, I think. I'm excited to talk to him. I've met him before. We when I was a karate instructor at Centerpoint Martial Arts, we went out to one of his seminars, and it was really cool to see other school instructors there, other school owners there. I'm not a school owner, and hear a lot of the similar um, challenges that they had, and hear a lot of the commonalities of what Brandon was able to help with. And it was just really refreshing. He's a very nice person, very hospitable. Took us all out to to lunch or whatever. Had a good meal. Showed us around a little bit. Really very welcoming in the studio, and yeah. So I'm excited to welcome him here to my studio. Brand new studio, by the way. Same place, different look. The old studio was right there. You can't see where my it's over there ahead of me. It was just a table. There was no video footage of it really, but yeah, I was able to use some of the space here, switch it around a little bit, give Pat and I some more room, or if, when I have other guests in house, so to speak, uh, we're not all crammed at a table. I'm going to take this opportunity to mess with my mic level. Um, because of my conversation with Molly the other day, who told me all about mic levels and how it might be easier for me to edit in the future if I make sure that the mic level is not maxing out. And I think that's fine right here. But we'll see. Unfortunately, again, this is just a kind of pre-show, so if the audio is not great, well, who am I kidding? If the audio is not great on the regular show, I'm not going to be too concerned. Uh, Really, my goal is just to kind of produce content, get some good conversations recorded, get some learn some more from people, and this is going to turn into my own little library, and then I plan to do other things with that and kind of develop it and use the resource as it can be used. So that'll be fun, exciting. But right now, like I said, I'm not super worried about the quality. I am just getting my feet wet, my toes. Uh, what's the word for wet that starts with T? Uh, I can't think of any. Tinkled? Tinkled? No. Yeah, I got nothing. But I do have plenty of things to keep me occupied with should I ever get bored uh, in the studio and wanting to record something or share something. A lot of these books I've read, and a lot of them I really like. So I will talk about one of them right now because it's sticking right out at me. This is Logic Comics, and I found this at Bull Moose in South Portland, Maine, and it's really good. I had no desire to go into Bull Moose and purchase this when I went into it, but my family had gone in there and they were looking for something. I can't remember what it was, um, and I just went in to start browsing around the used comics, and I found this, or not used comic, wherever it was, but it is Logic Comics: An Epic Search for Truth, and it's by Apostolos Doxiadis and Christos H. Paradimitriou. They are Greek, I believe. Um, and you may be able to read those names a little bit better. I may be able to angle this a bit better. Who knows? But it is about Russell, no, not Russell Brand. Um, Bertrand Russell. There we go. Bertrand Russell, who was I don't know, he was into reason. He's a philosopher, very much into the logic and reason and mathematics. I'm not a huge, it's funny. I, I enjoy math. I never liked learning about it in high school or in school. It wasn't my strong suit. I wasn't bad at it. I'm still just I'm not interested in it enough. But I like the concepts that math put forth. So logic I like. I like physics a lot. Um, so it's funny. I guess I do like math. I don't know. If it's presented in a way that's not like how many apples did Sally sell to Steve on a Sunday if she had 5 apples left over on Monday. That could be a good equation though. Maybe I'll start writing math books. Um, but yeah, this is really good. I liked it. I highly recommend it, and I'll probably go into it in more detail someday, but not now. What else do I have up here? Um, The Art of War, which I just actually picked up today as part of a set because I wanted to get. I was at Books A Million, and I wanted to get the Book of the Five Rings, and I saw that book, and I went to get it, and it was priced at whatever it was priced, and then I saw a set of 3 books that was the way of. Well, there was The Art of War, The Way of the Samurai, I believe. Yeah, The Way of the Samurai, and The Book of the Five Rings. I've read The Art of War. I I wanted The Book of the Five Rings, but I didn't have this version of The Art of War, which I don't know. It's interesting because it's either made for kids or people my age who are losing their eyesight. It's very colorful, very large font. You can't really see the font because of the reflection of the light, but trust me, it's large. But I like the format. It's pretty nice, and it's new. It's got a nice soft cover right now, so that'll be fun to go into. I do what I had before. I've got this, which is really cool. It's a Art of War comic, and it goes through the Art of War, but like following the story of, I don't remember what the storyline is, but it's really cool. Kelly Roman served time for a horrific friendly fire incident. Once free, he discovers that his brother died while working for Sun Tzu, the ruthless strategist who runs China's global financial empire. From the apocalyptic third world of suburban Ohio, Kelly, what? Kelly heads into the futuristic Gomorrah that is Manhattan to infiltrate Sun Tzu's organization and find out who murdered his brother and why. Using the skills and genetic enhancement his special forces career provided him, he'll confront both Sun Tzu and his nemesis, a monster of biotechnology known only as the Prince. Throughout this harrowing adventure, Kelly documents Sun Tzu's ancient wisdom, which guides him through each bloody battle and hair-breadth escape in his quest for vengeance and redemption. This is actually really good. I didn't remember the plot at all. I read it a while ago. But good. But speaking of the why, I also have this book, which I haven't read yet, and I keep meaning to read. Start with Why by Simon Sinek or Sinek. I don't. Again, not really good with pronouncing names, but I really like him. I've seen his talks, his TED talks, and all that stuff. I like what he has to say. And my wife read the book and had a copy of it, and it was a book that I had wanted to read anyway. And I was like, kismet. I guess I'll borrow it and read it someday, sooner than later. And then I've got my religion corner here. We've got Dianetics by L. Ron Hubbard, the Holy Bible, New American Standard, which has my name on it. Not just written on it. I got this for my graduation. It's Andre Davis right at the bottom. For my high school graduation, from my grandmother. Love her dearly. And I've read, I don't think I've read all through this one. I've gotten pretty far into it. Don't judge where this bookmark is. I gotta get back. I gotta read more of it. I was just talking to somebody about Adam and Eve and incest and how that worked, and now I have to check the source. And then the Heart of Islam, which is not the Quran, but Enduring Values for Humanity. It's about Islam and the values within. That's enough of a book tour for now. I will go ahead and wrap this up and take care of some stuff before I actually have to start the recording action with my guest. And whew, with that, I will see you later. Hello there. How you doing, Brannon?
How are you, Andre?
Good. I was just trying to learn that bass line from that music video you had. Big Time, I think it was called.
Oh, bad timing.
Bad Timing. I almost got it, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Let me see. Somewhere there.
So how's everything going?
Good. How are things going with you?
Good, good. I mean, life's big. It's busy. It's a lot of things. You know, it's a lot of things. It's a lot of things. I got a 10 and a 13-year-old, and he's really into AAU basketball, and then so that keeps us real busy. Last night we stayed at 24-hour fitness, and this kid played for 4 hours. We sat there going, he's in that space. He loves he's already earned his black belt. He loves basketball, so we're letting him pursue that. But it transfers over. His work ethic is amazing, and he's coachable. The two things any coach loves about a player, right?
Certainly, certainly. So has he always been into basketball, like all along?
No, just the past couple of years. He was really focused on his martial arts, and after he earned his black belt, he went and played soccer for 2 years and made the all-star, all the select teams. He scored 10 goals in one season. They're going, who is this kid? We've never seen him. He's never played. It's just he's got a very natural ability. He picks up things really fast, and it's a good thing. It's a good thing. So we're just letting that confidence pursue other things. And the other day in basketball, he hit the winning 3-pointer You
Oh,
know, with
very nice.
yeah, with 5 seconds to go, and it was just I cried, my wife cried because it was he's really worked hard to
Yeah.
be given that ball in the last 5 seconds by one of the best players on the team. Passed him the ball with 5 seconds left, trusting he can take this shot. And they were down by two, and they end up winning by three.
That's
So
awesome.
yeah, yeah, but it started with him being ghosted at practices. Nobody gave him the ball. First
Mhm.
first time they played a tournament, he got to hold the clipboard and water bottle. Next time he showed up, they gave him a used jersey. Next time he showed up, yeah, I mean, so he had to earn his keep, right? And I really enjoy that about this coach. Nobody walks on and is a star. Everybody pays their dues, and I think
Mhm.
it's really cool. It's really
Yeah, that's
cool.
great. And it's
Yeah.
great that he gets that confidence early on. I think that's huge for there are so many kids that don't have that opportunity to get that confidence early and build that up into life.
Well,
Um,
I think it's because we live in such an entitled culture, People think they're entitled to it. No, you got to work for it. And
mhm.
that's the thing Braden knows. I mean, he was never a natural and he's worked really, really hard. He had delayed motor skills when he was a younger kid, about 4 or 5 years old. And but his work ethic, he works harder than anybody else, and he has to. And that's really where confidence is earned, right? Nobody's born with that confidence. We earn it by never giving up, working really hard, and believing in yourself. And I mean, doing your best. So that's one of the things we teach in martial arts classes. And I do the same thing with entrepreneurs. I do the same thing with small business owners. It's that mindset that makes or breaks you every day. Every
Yeah,
day.
I think it seems to me that you've got and I feel the same way, like a pretty good grasp on that. There are certain values and certain things that really can apply to everything, especially when it comes to martial arts. I think so much of the the journey in martial arts, the perseverance, the hard work, the effort you put in is what you get out of it. The fact that I think martial arts is kind of a leveling field because you really do best as you rise up to your capabilities. You're not rising up to anybody else's capabilities, but your own capabilities, I think. And I think that applies a lot
And I
across.
think that it's so important, especially in entrepreneurship, because we stand in these networking rooms and it's who's got the bigger boat, how much money do you make, and that they're looking for that connection, right? And I think sometimes that's very ill-fated. I think we need to be confident enough in ourselves to know what is our version of success and
Mhm.
then pursue that passionately. And does it equate to money? Absolutely. Absolutely it does. And I think if you think of some of the greatest artists, music, acting, I think somebody like Steve Jobs was an artist at Apple. And if you do that and money's not the issue, then you end up making a lot more money. A lot more money.
Yeah,
Because
you're a really creative guy in general, I think, and
Mhm.
that shows in a lot of the stuff that you did. Like I mentioned, you have a musical background as well, and that was while you were. So you're tell me about yourself. You're from the Philippines, or
No, no, no. I was born and raised in San
my
Francisco.
bad. Yeah.
No, no. Born and raised in San Francisco. And I was a music major in college with a film minor. And I've always loved music. And I played a bass. I started as a bass player, a jazz bass player in high school. And then I slugged it out in bands, playing, the local music scene on Broadway and things like that in San Francisco. And it culminated where, this isn't working. I'm not getting a record deal in America. So I ended up signing a record deal with Warner Brothers in the Philippines. And so I spent 3 years there touring, promoting an album, number one song, three top 10 hits. And it was just a very unbalanced lifestyle for me,
Mhm.
because it's it's just very unbalanced. And I was only happy when I was on stage. So after 3 years of it, I decided, no, I don't want to do it like that anymore. And that was after slugging it out. I mean, I thought it's all I wanted, right? And I played in bands for close to a decade. And it's
Mhm.
like being married to five guys, right? And you're dealing with drummers and guitarists and keyboardists, and just it's like being married to five guys. And when your
Clash of
fate,
personalities.
yeah, and when your fate is determined by that, so that's when I became a solo artist. So I learned to play everything better. I could sit in a recording studio and record everything, and then when I needed good players to do sax solos, guitar solos, I would invite them in to do that because I'm not a lead player. I play well enough to write.
Right.
That's what I was. And I wasn't the best singer, but I was a good singer. So I saw the singer songwriter as a clear path to a major record deal, a clear path to making more money because you get, a certain amount of cents being the songwriter, certain amount of cents being the performer. And I saw both, right? So that made sense to me as well. And I love the creative process. I love sitting in a recording studio and writing. And so now it's just I write books, I write systems for companies, I research. So I just did a speaking gig at Meta on leadership, and I
And
did 40 hours of research
wow.
studying their culture and what's the purpose heading into the metaverse as they move out of Facebook and move into Meta. What's that all about, and why do they believe that's their direction and purpose? So a lot of research goes into those types of things, and I love the crossover because I agree with you, Andre, that what we learn in the martial arts philosophically can be applied to any business, any situation, anything. Really, it
Yeah.
can, because martial arts to me is life.
Yeah, there's so much to it. I think so with that, with the your transition from the music world, and it sounds like you got that idea or the real nuts and bolts of the business side when you start talking about the writing and really understanding where the money
Mm.
comes in on the music side. Was that an introduction to the entrepreneurship?
Oh
The
no. Oh
no.
no. No, I mean, if you legitimate, if you can't scale and monetize something, then you're famous in your own mind and you're going to starve, and you
Mhm.
can't impact people. You can't help support your team's lifestyle outside of the business, right? My two key guys bought homes during the pandemic. One of
Mhm.
them's getting married. I want to provide well for my team, because if I take good care of my team, they take good care of the clients. No, I actually cut my teeth. My grandma had restaurants as I grew up as a little kid. She had small coffee shops in the Tenderloin. And so I learned about entrepreneurship early on. And then my dad's owned a martial arts school for 50 plus years. Then right out of high school, I worked for a DJ company for a guy that was an entrepreneur. When disco was first coming out, DJs were like rock gods. And
All
then I
right.
opened my own, and then I had a DJ company for close to 15 years before I signed a record deal. So no, I've cut my teeth on small business and entrepreneurship you know, from pretty much day one as a child.
That's nice. So you've been always on the go with just getting more, finding that level of success and keep striving for more and more, it seems. So when it
Well,
comes
yeah,
to
I think that's a huge misconception because,
Mhm.
yeah, the zeros on my bank account have increased over the years, but more to me is being a better version of myself, right?
Oh, sure.
My whole mantra is live your best life, right? And so every day I want to be a better version of me. And of course, I can do that a lot with a lot less stress if my family's taken care of, my team is provided for, we're able to give back to the community. Once all that stuff happens, and when I got to that level financially where that happened, then I could go, okay. Because, growing up for me, money was short. We grew
Mhm.
up on welfare and food stamps, and, it was the daily thing. How do we keep food in our belly and keep the electricity on? And if all you're doing is surviving, you never get to that point where you start thriving and where you can really, where the good stuff happens. But make no mistake, money's not my God in any shape, way, or form. And and I'm a simple guy. I mean, to this day, I wear a pair of Converse. You won't find me with a Rolex watch. My cars are paid for. My home's a little different. My lifestyle is different. But fundamentally, I mean, I'm the same person.
Sure.
I would never judge myself or anybody how thick the wallet is or any of that. Yet we know that sells, right? We know that sells in digital marketing and stuff. The guy running through the mansion with the
Mhm.
green Lamborghini, right? People go, "Ooh, I want that," until they have it.
Right.
I think I saw this thing with Jim Carrey, which was really interesting. He said you should have the level of financial wealth and notoriety and success I have had to really understand it doesn't make you happy.
Yeah,
And I found that very again because that guy was making $20 million a film back
sure.
when people weren't making $20 million a film.
Mhm.
And he says it, money don't make you happy. Money's a tool, it's a vehicle. And when you can do that, that's important.
Yeah,
That's
certainly.
important.
That's a good perspective to have on it, and especially to hear a perspective from somebody who's been in that situation.
Hmm.
And that
On
that
both
person,
ends, both ends.
like, say, yeah,
Poor,
exactly.
dirt freaking poor, and then, making a lot of money. I've been on both ends, and neither of them determine my happiness or my self-worth. And that's a super important part because when you walk into a room and people are looking at what shoes you have on your feet and what watch you have on, hey, stand next to Warren Buffett with his $15 JC Penney belt. or, Bill Gates with his $35 Izod polo, right? They don't care. It means nothing to them,
Right.
right? Yet, I mean, if you think of someone like Warren Buffett, that guy still lives in the $40,000 home he bought, right? Years and years ago. And that's amazing. If the market has a good day, Warren Buffett gets the pancake breakfast, the full breakfast. If the market has a bad day, his wife puts enough change in his cup in his car to get a sausage McMuffin.
That's a good system.
Yeah, well, it's cool. I think it's so cool because that's what he's saying. He's saying, I love this because this is what I love doing. It's not a matter because how much more money can he accumulate?
Who knows?
Right. So it's way past that, right? It's way past that. And when you see something spirited like Elon Musk create reusable rockets, right? NASA said there's no freaking way. He goes, it's such a waste of money. You send this payload up into space, then these rockets fall into the ocean at $40 million a pop, and it pollutes the ocean and you can never use them again. That don't make sense to me.
No.
And lo and behold, after all of he did, those rockets land back. When I saw those 2 rockets landing back on the launching pad, that was amazing. That was amazing, right? Because money's not an issue.
In the water.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's crazy, but that's cool. That's cool. I mean, that early adoption, I gravitate towards early adoption and critical thinking, and mistakes are just part of the process and failure is part of the process. And it's never been a big deal.
Certainly. Yeah. I completely agree with that failure thing, especially when I was teaching martial arts for a little bit of time and working with kids, and especially in those situations where that frustration was there, and I want them to fail at some point just so they know what it feels like in that sense. And then that applies also to my own kids, like when they're going up through lives,
And then you don't stress as much. I mean, winning is
Right.
part of losing. Losing is part of winning. It's no big deal. I mean, I talked to my son and he's really into basketball. I said, you realize Steph Curry misses 53% of his shots and he's the best shooter in the world.
Yeah.
Babe Ruth struck out more than anybody else, but he hit more home runs than anybody else at that time. So yeah, if we can get our kids, like you said, going back when you talked about confidence, that's important. If you're a confident person, you have no need to base your self-worth upon winning and losing or people's approval. You're confident within your work ethic, that you work hard, you do your best, you don't give up. You're confident of that. So if you lose, that's what goes on today. But it can't rain all the time. So it's going to change at some point. Right.
Yeah.
That's powerful.
That's been a big thought process for me. I just turned 43 this year. Mm-hmm. And so I'm in that middle age, starting to think about things a little bit. And one of the things that came up recently is just that thought of existence and kind of what you're saying there. And like, you just are who you are, accept that. And there are your wins, your losses. But at the end of the day, for me, at the end of the day, the ultimate goal is just to exist. Like that's all you really need to do. And how you do that existence is what builds who you are. But as long as you're existing, that's all you're obligated to do in this life.
Well, and we're not even obligated to do that.
Yeah.
I mean, really, some people wake up and they don't even exist. I mean, they're not even within themselves. They simply, aren't in tune at all. And that's where you see crazy things like cults and things like that, where I'm not even existing. You tell me what to do, right? You tell me to drink the Kool-Aid and I will. You tell me to, that's crazy. That's crazy when we lose ourselves completely. And for me, when I wake up every day and I go through my morning rituals, it's really about creating an optimal mindset, because we're all just one phone call away. This could be my last day. This could be your last day. We don't know that. And so to be able to wake up and have the best day possible, whatever that means to me, it's an art. It's an art. That art of life requires that process of self-discovery, that process of pulling back your own covers and looking at your own stuff, and being okay, warts and all. This is me, warts and all, man. This is it. This is it. And if I can still be the best version of me, that's cool. That's a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing. Like you said, we're all just that one phone call away. And if I can get up in the day and know that yesterday I did everything I could up till yesterday, I'm fine. If today is my last day, I put in my time. So yeah, that's good.
Yeah, and I mean, dying's not an option. Living's an option,
Yeah.
right? You're gonna die. You have no choice with that. But to have the option to wake up every day and know that I could choose to make this the best day for me, whatever that means, or I could choose to make this the worst day, right? And some people say it doesn't matter. You're gonna die anyways. Who cares? Who cares? Well, I care because it's my life. And however many breaths I'm given, I want to make sure every breath is full and complete. That's why in the martial arts or any other Eastern philosophy, we're so mindful of our breath,
Yes.
right? And our breath means everything. And that's pretty cool because in its simplicity, if you're not breathing, that's a bad day, right? It's a bad day. It's a bad day.
Bad day for sure.
Yeah, yeah.
So
But people, and I talk to people about that all the time, to breathe with purpose or breathe with intent. They look at me, what do you mean? I breathe all the time. I says, but do you breathe mindfully? In the words of Thich Nhat Hanh, right? There's a great Buddhist monk, and he talked about that. To breathe with intention. Well, what is your purpose of breathing? Is it to nourish your body? Is it to take in air so your mind is clear? Are you cultivating peace? What is your purpose behind your breath? And I think
yeah.
that's pretty cool too. Singer, right? When I sang, my breath was everything, to
Mm.
staying on key, to singing well. I mean, your breath is takes on a whole new life, right? When you're giving birth, a woman has to breathe through that. If you're
Yeah.
underwater, you breathe in a different way. So breath becomes different in different environments. And to see, like Bruce Lee said, it's good, you got to be fluid. And if you
Mm.
see that your breath is fluid and you use your breath accordingly, it's very empowering. It's really empowering.
It's great stuff. I have you read Breathe by Hicks and Gracie?
No, I haven't, but I've seen excerpts posted on like LinkedIn and things like that.
Mm.
They've turned it into blogs and stuff, but I haven't read it cover to cover.
Yeah, it's really good. He has a good section in there where he talks about breath pretty much, and really talks about that. One of the things that came out of it that really stuck with me was the idea of breathing is one of the only things you can do to really control your internal organs. So
Hmm.
when you breathe, slow down your heart rate and all of that stuff. And putting in that perspective, that makes a lot of sense. It is super powerful.
Well, and that's why, a yoga master can get more rest with 20 minutes of mindful meditation than some
Mm.
people getting 8 hours of sleep,
Yeah.
right? And that all just centers around, what is my intent behind my breath? What is it? And if we breathe with intention and mindfully, it takes on a whole nothing. You're right. You could breathe in to wash your organs, with that breath and cleanse them. And that's powerful. That's
Yeah.
powerful. And so many people, you watch them in the martial arts not breathe, right? They go to punch, everything pace. You got to breathe there, buddy. You're holding your breath when you're punching and moving. You're going to pass out, right? Because they're overwhelmed, because it's a different state when they're punching and blocking. And that's a different thing, right? That's a
Yeah.
whole nother thing. So the breath, the life force of your breath is something I believe that is not cultivated enough or promoted enough, or they think it's some kumbaya thing. No, it's not.
Yeah.
Try not breathing. Try not, you can go what? You can go without food for 40 days, water for 7, but without air, you're brain dead in 3 to 4 minutes.
Yeah.
So the importance of our breath is something I believe is way overlooked. Way overlooked.
Sure. So when it comes to those things that you find important, success and stuff, are you still, so as I understand it from that documentary, the Repo, or the one where
Yeah,
you're,
Reebok. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
Reebok,
When I was a
it
kid.
talks about your grandmother's restaurant, and you mentioned it
Mhm.
a little bit earlier. Do you guys still have that kind of family tie with your families, or?
No, my family, I mean, my mother passed away years ago. My father and I haven't had a real relationship ever, other than the early martial arts years. I'm 60 now. I just turned 60, and 45 of them, I've never seen my father. We think very differently, him and I. But what I learned during that time of life is very, very valuable to me. I have an older son that's 43, who we're very close. So what I learned from my father was, you don't abandon your kids. You don't disown your kids if they don't walk to the same tune as you. My
Mhm.
son and I think very differently, yet we're still best friends. He taught me the highest level of empathy, the highest level of, tolerance and patience, because he never wanted to do martial arts and I never forced it on him. He was a baseball player. And ironically, he surprised me on Father's Day. I was up visiting him, and he's now doing jujitsu. Yeah,
Really?
yeah, he took me to the club that he's at. capital jiu-jitsu. And I said, that's really cool. I'm glad you found your way to the arts, because the
Nice.
arts have been with me forever. But the thing my dad taught me, because he came over here with a sixth grade education. And at that time in the 50s, it was very tough to be a minority. So he wasn't the richest, he wasn't the most educated with a sixth grade education, and he definitely wasn't white. So, but what he said he had over everybody, nobody could outwork me.
Yeah.
Nobody could outwork me. And I carry that to this day. I watch my grandmother, right? My grandfather died in the Japanese War, World War II. He's got blown up trying to steal rice for the village. So my grandmother brought 7 kids over here from the Philippines and helped every one of them buy a house.
Wow.
That's pretty amazing. That's
Yeah.
pretty amazing. With what? A little coffee shop? With a little coffee. So she taught me about true entrepreneurship and the unlimited potential if you were willing to be accountable, if you were willing to work out. I work smart, but make no mistake, I can outwork anybody.
Yeah.
Right. And that's why through this pandemic, both my businesses are still standing and doing well. And
Yeah.
doing well, where I know we've lost like 40% of the martial arts schools are gone, through this pandemic.
Wow.
So
That's huge. I didn't realize. I mean, I
yeah,
never looked
it's
at the numbers.
35-40%. And that's just numbers you're getting from like big vendor companies because their sales have dropped. These schools are dropping off and they're no longer purchasing uniforms and things like that. So that might be an assumption, but I do know realistically the data is about 35%. But in the first quarter, martial arts has seen a surge like they've never seen in since their existence as far as businesses go. And that was up until the first quarter. Then we got hit with the next surge, the war, inflation, gas prices. So I think the recession's here. I really believe that. I know people in different pockets of the country, Texas, Florida, are going, no, it's not here. But I think smart business people, I'm a generational business. I've had these martial arts schools for 22 years. I've owned businesses for 38. I'm a generational business. And to pivot through the .com, to pivot through 9/11, to pivot through the war in Kuwait, to pivot through the mortgage crisis and, the pandemic and this recession, it requires a different kind of business.
Yeah.
A real different kind of business.
I really like from what I've seen of, I went to the seminar a couple of years ago out in San Francisco, which was awesome. That was a great time. And it was funny because you're an interesting person to me, like from that point on, just the way that as simple as the system seemed to be and how applicable they could be along the way, but you also understood the nuances of the different places. Like, what works in Oklahoma isn't necessarily going to work in LA.
No.
It's just,
No.
So it was great to like go out there and meet you and go through and then also to learn a little bit martial arts.
Yeah, it was fun training. It was fun training, and I make no qualms. I mean, I tell people this is art. You want reality? Let's go stand in the alleyway, in our street clothes and fight. I mean, everything's theory, right? Everything's like Mike Tyson said it so well. Everything changes when you get punched in the face. And we can hypothesize even something as high end as UFC. There's still a referee, and when you're down, they'll break it, right? They'll stop. But when you're curled up in the fetal position and 4 guys are kicking you, and I say that from experience, there's no martial arts at all. It's how do I get out of this? How do I get up out of this before they kill me, right? And run, right? So that thing. So I think the argument in the martial arts that my tiger claw is better than your ego kung fu is a mute point, because on any given day, professional sports fighting, it'll work, and at any given day it won't work. So for me, it's just that whole exploration of self-discovery and any kind of art, whether it's music, martial arts, writing, speaking. I mean, I love art. I love just the expression of the self, and that's really the journey, right? I mean,
That's the
Muhammad
fun part
Ali.
about it.
Yeah, I mean, Muhammad Ali said it really well. If I behave at 50 the way I did when I was 20, I've learned nothing. So I believe each decade I want to be a better version of myself. And what does that mean for me? And it's always that constant path of self-discovery and experimentation. Like, who am I today at 60? It's not the same person I was when I was 30. Not by far. Not by far. So to take all of that and be here right now with you is all that really matters. And I posted that today and someone tripped on it. They go, I said, we're so worried about getting there when here is all that really matters.
Mm.
And when I work with clients, they go, I'm not there yet. I'm not there yet. And I said, okay, well, right now we're here, right? And you want to get there. So let's go over there for a minute. Okay, now we're there. Where are we really? It's a new version of here, right?
Yeah.
I'm still here. It's just a different version of here. So why
Right.
not concentrate? Why not really give 1,000% to the here and now? And it will affect that there you want to get to. But we're always looking, that guy's got a bigger car. Oh, look at his watch. Oh, look at that girl he's with. Oh, look at the money. Look at his house. And it's such a mute point because his version of success may not be yours.
Yeah.
And to be okay with that, to be really okay with that, requires a lot of work on oneself. It just does. And I wrote that story in my book about the homeless history teacher. This guy was begging for money, and I had this whole bag of coins at the time when money was still pretty short. I was going to cash it out in one of those machines in the supermarket. And this guy with such articulation said, "Excuse me, sir, could you possibly spare some change?" And I looked at this guy, go, he's not crazy. He doesn't look, I said, you know what? I'm going to give you this whole bag, but I need 5 minutes of your time. And lo and behold, he was a history teacher. And
Mm.
based upon what he made with his mortgage and everything, he realized he would die in debt.
Wow.
So he decided to get rid of the house and everything and go homeless. And he did his research. San Francisco is a great place to be homeless. The weather is always pretty good. He could panhandle anywhere from $100 a day to $200 a day. There was
No.
always a shelter, and there was always food. Dumpster diving in San Francisco, you can get some really amazing food, right? Just amazing food. And worst case scenario, he could always get a hotel for the night. So this guy was clearing $2,000 to $4,000 a month being
Wow.
homeless, right? And so that was his version of success. Who am I to say? And this guy walked away with my bag of change. My mouth was open going, wow, such clarity though, right? This guy knew this was my plan of action. I've executed. I'm cool with it. And
Yeah.
so I think that's really what causes us turmoil, because Lao Tse said it really well. If I live in the past, I'm depressed. If I live in the future, I'm anxious. But if I can live here and now, I'm at peace.
Yeah.
I'm at peace. And that's hard to do. As human beings, it's really hard to be here and now and be okay, where
Definitely.
you're at. Yeah, takes a lot of work.
Yeah. That in the moment, what's it called? Presence.
Yeah,
Or
the present,
mindfulness.
Yeah. And the present is called the present because it's a gift. But it's like nobody wants to spend time doing that because they're too busy about, hey, what am I going to eat for dinner later? Yeah, and tomorrow I got to do this. Earlier I really should have done that. And that type of time travel in your head into the past and the future,
Mm.
it's irrelevant. It's irrelevant. It's really about being here right now. Because once
Yeah.
we're done with this, it's a memory. It's
Yep.
off in the ether. It's in the ether. So really, I want to be here with you right now, completely, fully. So I learn and get the most out of this, and I'm able to give the most out of it instead of listening to you speak to me and go, well, what can I say that's really cool?
Right.
I'm fabricating my answer instead of leaning in and just really listening to you.
Yeah.
So I can get as much from this as I give to this, right? And I think that's what's cool. It's like two jazz musicians playing together, right?
Yeah.
What key are we in? What key are we in? Let's go. Where are we going? I don't know, but I know what key we're in, right? We know what key we're in, so let's play, right?
Let's
So
play.
that's fun.
What do you? So right now, with you're 60 years old and you've done martial arts for all of your life, if not most of your life. And as you, like you say, you enjoy learning new things and mastering new things as you go, maybe not mastering, but continually learning. Right now with your body and compared to what you've learned along the way, what are you working on for martial arts, if anything? Are you kind of?
Well, yeah, absolutely. I did jujitsu for about 4 years. I'd like to get back to it now that my older son's doing it. I'm in this space because, I do a lot of work in the martial arts industry. I'm actually kind of weaning myself off that. I just spoke at Meta. I've done Harvard, Stanford, I've done Lululemon, Facebook when it was Facebook. I want to move into that realm of
Mhm.
early adopters. So I believe if I leave the martial arts completely as a consultant, as a disruptor, I don't like the contracts. I don't like any of that goes on. And I don't want to fix the industry. I want to create something new.
Yeah.
But when I go to Meta and I get paid top dollar, and this was one of those aha moments, Andre. So I just walked out of Meta. I did a thing on global leadership, right? 20 people for the first time since the pandemic. Ireland, Peru, they're all sitting in the same room.
Nice.
Singapore, and I'm teaching global leadership post pandemic. And I walk out of there on this high, just so well received. I got paid well. And then I get a call. And the call fundamentally went like this: Hey, bro, I can't have you come speak at this gig in DC because you're not Taekwondo. And I said, well, let me get this right. I'm not teaching Taekwondo. I'm teaching people how to live their business and be, create a successful business and be happy. And I'm paying my own dime. I'm
Mhm.
flying out there on my own, not getting paid because I have this romance with the martial arts industry. It was just one of those moments, I need to move out of that. So
Yeah.
the reason I pre-frame with that is because I want to get back to jujitsu. The problem is every time I would go train, oh, you're that Beliso guy. Oh, you're the guy who's got the $1 million martial arts schools. Oh, let me show you, you suck. Let me knock you down a couple of pegs. And in jujitsu, an inch is like, okay, tap, 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 to you just, pop my elbow, right? Literally.
Yep.
And you roll with whoever you roll with. And I don't want some 200-pound guy, rubbing his stubble up against my face, smushing me,
Yeah.
because he wants to teach me a lesson because I'm so and so in the martial arts industry, but I'm going to show you you're nothing but a peon here in my school on the mat. So I'd like to roll again, but I want to roll safely. I want to roll with people that get it, that I got to
Yeah.
go to work the next day. So I'd like to get back to jujitsu. I really would. I really
That's
would. And then the internal arts, Tai Chi, Qigong as I get older. I want to keep using my body successfully and use it well, which I take really good care of my body.
yeah.
And that's why I believe I look this way at 60 and I move the way I do. Um, so yeah, jujitsu would be high on that list. I just have to find a place like you think of Maslow's hierarchy of needs.
Yeah.
And one of the needs human beings have, I want to know I'm physically safe in this environment. And that's not
Sweet.
because I'm a wimp. I did all the non-wimp stuff throughout my life, broken nose, broken everything. I don't need that. I don't need that. I did that. Suck it up, buddy. What you got? A couple broken ribs? You're awesome. Yeah, I got 2 broken ribs. Look at me. Great. No medical insurance. Some young kid playing in a rock band, right? That's all
Yeah.
right. They'll heal on their own. I mean, it's not where I'm at
No,
right now.
it's not worth
So
it.
yeah, and if I can find a nice, safe place to train, but still train well, because I have that kind of experience. I don't want people to wimp on me, but I want people, trying to break me because they want to prove a point, right?
Yeah.
You might make money and be Mr. So and so in the martial arts industry, but you're nothing here, white belt with no stripes. No, just so I don't even like to tell people who I am when I go into schools to train. I'm just here to train.
Yeah.
Just
I
here
mean,
to
it's
train.
probably the right approach. I'm the same. I have that same feeling about jujitsu. It's something that I never really was interested in doing because of that safety level. Just because when I
Yeah.
started getting back into martial arts as an adult, I, I'm getting back into my body and stuff, and I don't trust a lot of the people that I
No.
don't know. Obviously, if
No.
I'm going to be in that close of a position, I just rolled for the first time on Saturday actually with some people that I was close to. Like I play Dungeons and Dragons with them every week, so it's like okay,
Cool.
I can trust these guys, and it was great. And I did learn about that inch to breaking an arm thing. Like
Yeah.
it was just a quick little I had
Yep.
no
And I'm
idea.
tapping here, buddy, and I'm tapping you very clearly. Maybe I should just punch you in the face, right? That's how I get. I'm like, dude, I know we can't punch or kick, but for real, I would bite the shit out of you if this. So don't treat it like it's a fight,
Right.
right? It's a chess match, and when I tap, you win. I'm cool with it.
Hmm.
I'm cool with it, right? And I have no ego. If I feel like you're gonna pop the capsule in my elbow, or dislocate my shoulder, I'm tap tap tap. I have no challenge with that. I'm
Yeah.
cool with it. Let's reset. Let me learn here and move forward. So maybe it doesn't happen to me next time. So yeah, and if I can find a safe place to roll, I'm good with that. I'm
I
good
hope
with
you
that because
find one.
I'd love to roll with my older son. I mean, that'd be so cool just to roll with him and do that.
Did you live so far away that you could visit frequently, or?
Yeah, no, my son's an hour and a half away. He's up in Sacramento, so absolutely.
Yeah.
But And you can do that. I mean, some jujitsu places are cool because it's, technical stand up, arm bar, rear naked choke, the guard, the mount, the side mount. So some of, it's all pretty fundamentally the same. So you're able to go from gym to gym to gym and train. It's not going from kung fu to judo to shotokan to kenpo, right? I mean, so in jujitsu, it's there's fundamentally a lot of consistencies. So I could go to Sacramento and roll with them. I'm sure. I'm
Yeah.
sure. Just like he could come in, just to roll with my son would be fun. Would be
Yeah.
fun to do. Yeah, it would
I,
be. So and he was very proud, when he shared that with me on Father's Day. It wasn't quite Father's Day. I was up there to speak at Dave Kovar's event, his
Mhm.
Promac, and it was on a Thursday. So after that, I wanted to have some barbecue with him, because I hadn't eaten all day. I don't eat before I speak. I'll have a cup of coffee and drink a lot of water. And so he says, "Great, I want to show you something though on the way." I said, "Cool." So we pull up to this place, and you know, I couldn't tell from the outside. We went in, it was his gym, his jujitsu gym, and he was so proud. He was so
That's
proud
great.
that, Papa, I get it now. I get why you've done martial arts all these years. And he had been rolling since January. So he kept this from me till he made sure it was going to stick. It's something he was going to do and not start and quit. And he
Yeah.
was very proud. And I was just, as a father, I'm glad he found martial arts. It's not Kenpo, but I don't care. The
Yeah.
fact that he found martial arts and found a gym that he likes and people that he digs, that's cool. It's very cool.
Yeah.
It's
My
very
two
cool.
sons are 13 and 14, and
Mm.
they were, uh, they, they weren't interested in martial arts early on. And then I got them interested while I was teaching for a little bit. And then they kind of dropped off a little bit. And they're the type of kids who are just very athletic and very in touch with their body. Like they were coordinating stuff. So it was one of those, all right, you're going to walk away, but I know you might come back to it. This is for you, maybe. But I don't know. So that's a nice story to hear that at 43, he's
Yeah, it
getting,
took that long, but I never forced it on him. I had no
yeah,
choice.
no,
I grew up in a martial arts family. We were expected to do it and teach and fight. You know, I fought for close to 20 years, tournaments every other weekend, back when we had no groin cup, no mouthpiece, no gloves, no feet gear, no shin guards, nothing,
no.
nothing. And that's the way it was, because I started in 1967 and I was
Mhm.
fighting in the 70s, what they called the blood and gut era. And it was crazy. It was crazy. $5 to enter a tournament in some gym. You tape up your hands with medical tape, and you were in it. You were in it,
Wow.
and it's the closest thing to fighting that I knew. And so, you
Was that
know,
at all ages or?
yeah, absolutely,
Wow.
absolutely, yeah. And I grew up when kids didn't train, so we were a novelty. And I trained with adults growing up because there were no kids in my dad's school at the time. They
Hmm.
were all adults. No parent until the Karate Kid would ever think of putting their kid in karate, ever,
Yeah.
ever. It was
Which is,
novelty on Johnny Carson. We have an 11-year-old black belt on Johnny Carson. It was this real novelty. Then when Karate Kid came out with Ralph Macchio and Miyagi, that was it. Everybody wanted to do karate, right? And then we had
yeah.
Power Rangers, Ninja Turtles, and on and on and on, on and on. So I think martial arts is powerful, but I think true martial arts is really life, right? What do you do when
Yeah.
somebody you love dies, or somebody breaks your heart, or you go through financial difficulty, or maybe your own personal issues, maybe depression or anxiety, all those different things? What do you do then?
Yeah.
That's, a front kick or a rear naked choke ain't going to help you then.
No.
Not.
Yeah, that's when you have to really dig deep
Yeah, and the
to get
mental
that life.
martial arts, I think the mental martial arts is just as valuable as the physical.
Mhm.
Really, it is. Really, it
So
is.
with the new entrepreneur, that where you're stepping away from the martial arts world, are you talked about Meta, like that's pretty big, obviously.
Yeah, it's the biggest thing on my resume to date.
Mhm.
Meta,
Yeah.
and I just thought I was going to Meta to speak to the marketing team, but I walk in and it's the global marketing team, and you had 20 people there from all over the world here at Meta for the first time since the pandemic, and virtual we had people, and I was
Hmm.
just like, wow,
So
wow, and
how did you get into that space?
um, I've been trying to cultivate it for a while, and both gigs have been through, ironically, parents of kids in our martial arts school, both of
Oh,
them. Yep.
mm,
Yep. When I did Facebook, the first time it was a self defense workshop, and that was through a woman whose son was in our martial arts classes. And then when I did UCSF Heart and Lung Division, the boy was a black belt and the mom worked for UCSF. Meta, I was working with the person from Meta, I was working with her husband on personal development and growth and teaching her daughter martial arts. So it's been that way, which is really cool. It's like anything, it's a referral, right? But
Yeah.
I want to create a name where people are seeking me out, where I cross, you know what, my dream is to speak at Macworld.
Yeah.
I want to be, I want to do the keynote speak at Macworld.
That's
And
awesome.
yeah, because they're early adopters, you know, and they're not fighting over my eagle claws better than your tiger kung fu. And when I get in those conversations with people, it's just so limiting. I want to
Yeah.
run hard, and those kind of people make mistakes all day, and they're happy with it. They're
Hmm.
happy with it. Elon Musk, yay, we blew up the rockets. They didn't land right. Now let's adjust the angle and da 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 da. It's like, really, you just failed. You just lost like what, $40 million, and you're happy, right? And so it's really cool. And I don't want to spend time with egos, and our ego, the ego in the martial arts is huge. It's huge.
Yeah.
It's huge. And so that's why I dedicate myself to the small school learner, right? Because they're the underdog. They're the ones, you know, that are trying to scrape out a living. And if I can teach them how to brand and market and how to create culture and purpose and live from a why, they have a better chance of succeeding in their business than not. And not, I think everything in our industry, other than software, CRM systems, are pretty much regurgitated. Other than jujitsu and the UFC, what's really changed in the industry in 20 years? Not a
Right.
lot. Not a lot.
No.
Not a lot. And that's because of the ego and the narrow-minded thinking, and people are set in their ways. And you know, you watch even the Koreans from generation to generation, they do as their father and their grandfather. You know, they follow in suit. And I get that. Loyalty is important
Hmm.
for arenas, but I think, like it was said by O.S. Smith, to respect tradition but to embrace innovation really fulfills the yin yang principles of the martial arts. That's why
Yeah.
we have the yin yang, right? It's there because there's both exist, and they should be embraced to create balance. I respect tradition, but I embrace innovation all day, all day, and
Definitely.
equally creates a balanced human being, right?
Certainly a
And
fine line with that tradition and innovate and getting that innovation. And you see that in the business world. I see that in the people I work with all the time. I've
mm,
worked for several companies, and that culture of, well, this is how it's always been done is always prevalent. And then I'll come in or somebody else will come in brand new and say, well, why aren't you doing it this way? Well, we've always done it this way. Well, if you do it this way, and there's so much pushback on it sometimes, you just wonder. It's impressive how strong tradition can be, I guess.
yeah, but tradition yielded like a sword to shoot down innovative ideas, and somebody's contribution and their autonomy, I think, is ill-fated. Can you say Blockbuster?
Yeah.
Right? They look at Netflix and said, "What kind of that's never going to happen?" Blah blah blah. Blockbuster is gone.
Yeah.
You know, think of BlackBerry, right?
Yeah.
People laughed at the iPhone. I mean, it's got to be in measured doses. I get that. I really, really do. Respect was good 1,000 years ago. It'll be good today, and it'll be good 1,000 years from now. I get that. So I do. But when you hide behind the guise of tradition as if it's superior and your ego takes over, that's when it's dangerous. That's when the dogma of the industry, you know, you got that whole other side. We don't use belts. We don't use anything. There's no, you know, it's about street fighting, and that's who we are. And we don't do katas. And this martial arts art is crap. It's all about self-defense. I think the yin to the yang of that, it needs to be balanced. It needs to
Yeah.
be balanced.
I
It needs
think
to be balanced.
there's also a place for both of those things, I would
Hmm.
say. I mean,
Yeah.
you've got your boxing clubs and all that stuff. That's
Yeah.
fine. Learn to fight. That's great. But you're like, I mean, there's certainly an art. I enjoy doing katas sometimes. Like and there's and I enjoy more developing my own katas, like coming up with
Hmm.
my own forms, because that's that enjoyable part. That's the art to it. So yeah, there's a balance to
Yeah.
be had. So,
Well, and someone, you know, some kids are playing with my son today, and he goes, you know, how do you take people down? I said, well, throw something. And he threw something, and I took him down. He goes, well, how did you do that? And I said, I don't know. I've just done this forever. I mean, you threw something, and this was my reaction,
yeah.
right? You don't act, you react to whatever situation. And he's a kid and we're out on concrete, so I'm not going to dump him on his butt. So I took him and did something and he goes, wow, that was cool. I said, yeah, you know, I mean, I would think after all this time, I have a nice bag of tricks that I can pull from and be able to have a lot of fun with it.
Yeah.
But, the longer I'm in the martial arts, the less I'm a martial artist.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, because the dogma, the rigidness from one end to the total abandonment on the other side of no meditation, no kata, no nothing. I think that there's a happy medium. And again, what is your version of success? I don't know. I don't
Yeah.
know. And whatever that means to you, rock and roll. I mean, so be it. So be it.
Yep.
But I do think there's something to be said, right? I make up katas too. So is my kata less valued because there's a kata that's been done for 5,000 years since the Shaolin Temple? I don't know. If they're doing my kata 5,000 years from now, I guess we could have that conversation. But I think it's really the expression of yourself and what makes you happy. And if you
Yeah.
want to do a kata, fine. If you just want to punch somebody in the face, fine. I mean, different strokes for different folks, but it's being okay with that without dragging other people down and saying, you're wrong, it's got to be this way. And I think that exists a lot in the martial arts, a lot,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
Well, this has been good. I don't know. I mean, I've got plenty of time, but I don't want to take up too much of your time if you, I don't know where you're at. We can keep talking.
Yeah, a few more minutes is cool. I mean,
All right.
it's not uncommon. I do these things, Andre, and then someone goes, "Can you come back on the show?" Oh, wow, man, we went over. I'm going to split this into 2 shows and do this with it and that with
Yeah.
it. And, it's kind of cool. Like last night, my son was supposed to play 2 hours of basketball, and we get there. We went out to dinner, my wife and my daughter and I, and then we went to Safeway, and we come in, and they still want to play for 2 more hours. So we just hung out. Sure,
Yeah.
you want to get a couple more games in? Express yourself, man. Get better. Have fun. Right? And they beat men. These are 13, 14-year-old boys. They beat men. They
Wow.
lost two. They lost two, to other teams, but they beat a bunch of men. And that was cool. They were just doing their thing. It wasn't you're older, I'm younger, you're better, I'm richer, you're poorer. It's just art. I think basketball's an art too. And
Oh
these
yeah.
boys were just out there expressing themselves, right? And they
I
didn't want to stop. And that's a wonderful thing when we were kids. Remember the days you just didn't want to stop doing something, and you can do it forever, right? You can just do it
yeah.
forever. You can do it forever, whether it's playing bass or whether it's doing martial arts, or it's a good place to be in when you can do it forever and you don't
Yeah.
want to stop.
My
That's
son
when
just
you're
tried. My son tried uh windsurfing, like on a
mm-hmm,
paddleboard
mm-hmm.
last weekend, and he was out there just going at it to learn. I'm just sitting out in a kayak with him, making sure he doesn't drown. And we were out there for probably a good hour or so, and he'd be laying on, "You ready to go in?" It's, "Yeah, I'm ready to go in." And he'd start, "No, I'm gonna go again." And it's that idea, like you can go forever. Because he got it.
Well, because it's a very much a journey of self-discovery,
Yeah.
right? And I'm sure he tried to get up, he fell down, he got up, he fell down, he got up, he fell down. And it's like the Chinese proverb, right? You fall down 7, you get up 8. And it's every time you get up, you discover something new about yourself.
Yeah.
And that's what it's all about. That's what it's all about. And it's pretty cool to be where I am today, in all ways, and to try to share that with someone. You're right where you're supposed to be. Enjoy it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm not where I want to be yet. But you're right where you're supposed to be. So be here and be cool with it. Well, I'm not making the kind of money, I want to make. Well, that's okay. Just be where you are so you get the most out of it. Because this could be the stepping stone to that money you want to make. It could be the next process in your learning. But it takes a lot of hope. It takes a lot of faith, for the lack of a better word, to be okay where you're at.
Yeah.
Right. And like you said, just, wake up and exist and be cool with that. Right. And if you believe you're right where you're supposed to be, then hell, I sat for 2 hours in 24-hour fitness on a hardwood floor watching my kid play basketball. I'm cool with it. No, I'm good with it. But
Yeah.
I had to go into the school last night and set the guys up for day camp and stuff, and I was trying some new systems. And so I was there till 1 a.m. and I was good with that too. I got to do both dinner with my wife and my daughter, watch my son play basketball. Then, got to take care of the school so the team can come in today and be successful because I'm off today. I don't go in on Mondays. And they were. And see, that's what it's all about. That's what it's all about. to pivot. No, you must come home now. We have to go. I have to go to the school and work. No, you want to keep playing? Rock and roll, buddy. I'll
Wow.
sit here I'll sit till you're done, and then I'll go do my thing after, right? And my wife was on board too, and that's what's cool. So my son felt that freedom. That okay, cool. You guys back me up if I want to hang here and do this. It's cool.
Yeah.
He's got 4 of those guys over here now, and they're out there playing NBA and K2 or something, and it's cool. It's
Nice.
cool. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Because I think the ability to move from audience to audience, group to group, and be good with it is powerful. And when I travel and speak, like when I did Germany, I had to work with a translator. I'm getting on platforms and taking trains by myself from one city to the next to speak. If I'm not okay with me, it's not a good day. When I was in the Philippines, traveling to one of the 4,000 islands or 7,000 islands, whatever it is, and I'm in some communist country and I have to sing, right? Where I know I could be kidnapped in a heartbeat. I'm sitting in a heist like this. Guys got big shotguns. And I'm going, this is a trip. And to be cool with it, right? This is where I am. Let me just do my thing and sing. I think
Yeah.
that's so, knowing thyself and being good with thyself is takes a lot of courage, because everybody says you must be like this, you must do this, you must do this and this. And that's how the martial arts is, right? You stand in the lineup and go, yes, sir. How many push-ups? Absolutely. How many times you want me to kick? I can do that too. You want me to clean the school? Sure. You want me to teach now for free? Sure. Whatever you want me to do. And at what point do you stop being that minion or that good prodigal student and become your own self? And I think that's the challenge. That's why people didn't like Bruce Lee, because he was about, I'm not into the classical mess, because if it hinders the expression of the self and finding who you are, then that's not a good day. That's
Yeah.
not a good day. So what is the balance? Because I do like the discipline of an art, right? Do it this way, like classical music. I was a jazz bass player, but to walk into college and be a music major and have to play classical verbatim, the way it was written, note for note for note, that was the yin to the yang. And it taught me a different type of discipline.
Yeah.
The exactness of playing it exactly. That takes a lot of humility. And you have to be really, to be that strong of an individual and to be able to go into that arena and go, cool, I can do that. Bring it on. Sure, let's do
Yeah.
this, right? And then go play jazz the next night. Just be free form. That you have to know who you are. You got to be good with that.
Yeah.
You got to be good with that. Yeah.
Well, that's great. So let's wrap it up. What do you have going on? Do you have anything that you want to?
Yeah. I got a bunch of stuff. I have a great book. You can get it at Amazon, of course. Live, Learn, and Grow, Lessons of the Reluctant Tiger. It's there. It's a wonderful book. I have a great children's book, The Adventures of Brain Tate. That's out there as well at Amazon. My event this Monday, July 18th, I'll be at Mon Amiga B. I do a networking breakfast from 8:30 to 11. And I'm out there because my son has a basketball tournament in Vegas, but coincidentally, the martial arts super show is going on at the same time. And I'm not going to be at the super show. I was just asked to sit in a VIP booth and go to the opening ceremony. So I'll probably do that as a guest, because it's always good to network like that. But I don't have a booth and I'm not speaking at the super show. So just to be clear about that, but I have this great little networking event, and to break bread with people and hang out face to face, up close and personal, and talk shop and just, discover together what is your version of success and how to move through this recession, what we did through the pandemic. So it'll be a really, really good experience. I've done them all over the world, and I'm going to do this one in Vegas. If anyone's free, then of course in August, I have It's Time Live, Believe. This version is called Believe. And there's the 4-day, the 2-day, and the 1-day event. And that's coming up. And all that's at brannonbeliso.com. So just go there and sign up for that. Follow my podcast, Success Never Sleeps and Mindful Meditations. People can follow me at Instagram. And then for everything else, just go to brannonbeliso.com.
Awesome, Brandon. It's been awesome. Definitely. You're welcome to come back anytime.
Yeah, just feel free, when you want to do that. And, I'll make the time and I'll gratefully show up.
Perfect. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Talk to you later.
Excellent.
Bye.
Thank you, sir.